We have almost the whole audience now. We've been bumped up from 50% to 75%. And that's you guys, I guess. I've been told that all 125 members of our audience are tested, vaccinated, and sexually aroused. Is that the case? Good. I appreciate it. I love it. You all had an extra hour of sleep last night, theoretically, I guess. Did you get an extra hour of sleep last night?
Yeah, everybody did.
You did?
Yeah.
I didn't. Not me.
No.
I did not get an extra hour of sleep because I have a 4-year-old maniac living in my house who loves to wake us up. This is my clock this morning. I took a picture of my clock. When my son Billy walked in and tapped me on the head to make him French toast, I knew he wasn't going to eat. 5:59 a.m. You can see, that's as blurry as my vision was. And why? Why do we do this to ourselves? Daylight saving time is something Benjamin Franklin, who has been dead for 230 years, came up with as a joke, and it's still screwing with us. It really was. For no reason. We don't have to worry about conserving whale blubber for our lamps anymore. Here in California, we voted to end this 3 years ago. We passed Proposition 7, which was supposed to give our local authorities the authority to end daylight saving. That was in 2018. It got 60% of the vote, and yet here we are in the dark again at 5 o'clock. I'm going around the house resetting all the clocks, looking at manuals. Enough is enough. I got up before 6 o'clock this morning. Kids don't know it's daylight saving time, okay? I honestly tried to explain it to my 7-year-old daughter yesterday. I finally just gave up. I was like, go to bed. I don't know what it is. By the way, you know who is in charge of daylight saving for the government? The Secretary of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg. Mayor Pete is in charge. And the last time he was on our show, I asked him to end it. He said he'd see what he could do. You know what he did? He did nothing. He did nothing at all. But now I'm hopeful because Pete Buttigieg has 2-month-old twins now, and now maybe he'll understand what a nightmare this is. Save us, Penelope and Gus Buttigieg. Those are his baby's names. But even history's worst man, Donald J. O. Trump, supports not supporting it. Making daylight saving time permanent is okay with me, he tweeted. This is back when he was allowed to. This is a bipartisan issue. Let's get a hashtag going, whatever we have to do to encourage our Secretary of Transportation to move on this so we don't have to go through it again next year. Hashtag give daylight saving the... Oh, no one will be able to spell that. Forget it. The pickleball is in your court, Pete. Get this done. You will be carried through the streets of Washington on the exhausted yet thankful shoulders of this nation's parents. Please get this done. Thank you. I've had enough. Well, by the way, it only took about 3 weeks, but our crazy ex-president finally weighed in on the tragic on-set shooting involving Alec Baldwin. Mar-a-Lardo went on a local radio talk show host podcast to suggest that Alec Baldwin may have loaded the gun himself.
Maybe he loaded it. Remember this, who would put a gun, here, Alec, here's your gun. Oh, good. Lift it up, point it at a person, and pull the trigger. And, oh, man, a bullet came out. She's dead. So there's something wrong with him. He's a sick guy. I've seen him for years because he did, I thought, a poor job of, imitating me. And Daryl Hammond did a great job, if you remember Daryl.
He started at murder and somehow worked his way around to Daryl Hammond. And if you're wondering how a former president of the United States could say something so reckless, insensitive, and wrong, I'm just surprised it took him this long. I'm almost proud of him for holding out 3 weeks. And then, of course, he tried to claim that it's this Alec Baldwin thing, it's nothing personal.
I don't like him or dislike him. I don't actually know him. But I've watched him over the years because of the fact he did this so much on Saturday Night Live. I've watched him, and he's a cuckoo bird. He's a nut job. And usually, when there's somebody like that, in my opinion, he had something to do with it.
In your opinion? Why do you have an opinion on this subject? Oh, he hates being made fun of so much, he'll just accuse anyone of anything. This has got to be a tough one for Alec Baldwin's brother, Stephen, because he's a big Trump guy. The guy you love so much is called your brother a murderer. What do? What would Jesus do right now? Donald Trump's days are so weird now. It's basically wake up, play golf, say something racist to the housekeeper, casually accuse someone you don't like of a crime, then back to bed to rub one out to OAN. It's really a sad Blowhard speaking fights. Have you been following the Twitter feud between Ted Cruz and Big Bird? After the FDA approved the vaccine for children ages 5 to 11, Big Bird tweeted, "I got the COVID-19 vaccine today." You know, Big Bird's like a 6-year-old. "My wing is feeling a little sore, but I'll give my body an extra protective boost that keeps me and others healthy." And Ted Cruz, who desperately just wants to be noticed, lashed out. He wrote, "Government propaganda for your 5-year-old." This is how they think. If the government says it, it's propaganda. If Congress does it, it's socialism. If the executive branch does it, it's fascism. If the president says it, he's a dictator. And if the media says it, it's fake news. The elections are rigged, the deep state runs the world, and Big Bird is working for Merck now. And it's interesting because not only is Ted Cruz vaccinated himself, Ted Cruz was born with an immunity that protects him from contracting any friends. But the truth is, I think maybe Ted's still sore about Big Bird's most recent book, Big Bird Visits Cancun to Find Ted Cruz's Balls. Spoiler alert, he never finds them, so. Meanwhile, of all places, Newsmax announced that they will be requiring their employees to get vaccinated, that's like Arby's making their staff go vegan. It makes no sense whatsoever. Today's the deadline for federal workers to be fully vaccinated, and thousands of them are claiming religious exemptions to try to get out of. A religious exemption is basically, it's asking God to write you a note to get you out of PE class. It's a fanciful idea, considering the fact that even the Pope supports the vaccine. I don't know, if you can prove you're more religious than the Pope, then I'm okay with it. Otherwise, the Pope of Green Bay, his quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, he's been playing some very spotty defense this weekend. You probably heard Aaron Rodgers, who's unvaccinated, tested positive for COVID last week, even though he told reporters he was immunized months ago. He missed the game yesterday. He took a beating on social media, and some of his sponsors are dropping him or slowing down on running his ads. So A-Rod defended himself. He said he tested negative over 300 times before testing positive, which is the same kind of logic your 95-year-old grandmother uses to justify keeping her driver's license. And then Aaron attempted to explain himself on the Pat McAfee show. Pat McAfee is a former punter for the Indianapolis Colts, and Aaron was on to fire back at the woke mob.
And I go back to like these two questions for the, for this woke mob, like, number one, if the vaccine is so great, then how come people are still getting COVID and spreading COVID and unfortunately dying from COVID?
Right. And if parachutes are so great, how come 11 people died skydiving last year? It's the fact of the matter is the risk of dying from COVID is 11 times higher if you aren't vaccinated. This was a dumb conversation, but you'll never guess who this whack packer has been getting his medical advice from.
I consulted with a now good friend of mine, Joe Rogan, after he got COVID, and I've been doing a lot of the stuff that he recommended.
And Pat's covering his mouth trying not to laugh. So according to Aaron Rodgers, one of the things Joe Rogan recommended was ivermectin. Here's the thing I don't get. You won't take the vaccine, but you will take ivermectin? I mean, good old ivermectin. There's a product I can trust. And by the way, if you're looking for advice from a former host of The Man Show, call me next time, okay? Because I have a second opinion on that. I don't know, how does someone who almost hosted Jeopardy come up with 40 incorrect responses in a row?
I would, add this to the mix as an aside, but the great MLK said that you have a moral obligation to object to unjust rules and rules that make no sense.
Yeah, but you didn't object. You pretended you were vaccinated and snuck around. Always a good move for a white millionaire to half-quote Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., by the way. He's claiming he's being canceled, which is ridiculous. The Packers only scored 7 points without him yesterday. He's not getting canceled. A lot of people are also comparing Aaron Rodgers to Kyrie Irving, and that's not fair. Kyrie Irving is wrong, but at least he's honest. I mean, Aaron Rodgers let everyone around him think he was vaccinated when he was. He's not Kyrie Irving. He's Bernie Madoff, okay? And anyway, I wanted to get to the bottom of this story because I don't think this is just about Aaron Rodgers. It's about a lot of people, thank you, Cleto, who, there's about a lot of people who have this kind of line of thinking. So we did some digging, and we're joined tonight by Aaron Rodgers' doctor, Miles Birch Park, and he's with. Thank you for joining us, doctor.
Thanks for having me, but before we go any further, for legal purposes, I need to tell your viewers that I am not technically a doctor.
Oh, okay. Well, what are you then?
I'm a fully licensed homeopathic energy healer / wellness alchemist / vibrologist.
Oh, okay. Well, can you tell us if you consider Aaron Rodgers to be vaccinated?
Yes, I can say that Aaron is fully vaxxed tested.
He's what did you say?
He's vaxxed arrested. It means he's interested in vaccination, and he's heard of vaccination, and he's given being vaccinated a great deal of thought.
Right, but he's not vaccinated.
Oh, God, no. But don't worry. I know Aaron to be a critical thinker who marches to the beat of his own bongo. And he did everything Dr. Joe and I told him to do.
Well, who's Dr. Joe?
Dr. Joe Rogan.
Oh, okay, yeah. And what specifically did you and Dr. Joe tell him to do?
Well, I started with a baseline medicine that we can all agree on. Bee pollen. Lots of bee pollen. This guy was pounding so much pollen, I thought the bees were gonna make him their queen.
Okay. Well, that doesn't really sound like medicine. It sounds like pollen, but...
I disagree.
Oh.
But for legal purposes, I agree.
Okay.
Completely. So next, I had him taking hourly sound baths, and if you think COVID responds well to vaccines, wait till you see how it reacts to the vibrations from a handcrafted singing bowl. See? No COVID.
Well, you know what, Doc? None of this sounds even remotely helpful at all.
Yeah, there's just some general common sense stuff. You know, I made him run backwards for 10 miles with no shoes. I had him wash his hair with beetroot extract. Gave him a handful of loose crystals just to sort of swish around in his mouth for a while.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I really threw the kitchen sink at this thing, by which I mean I took the stuff in the bottom of my kitchen sink, made it into a paste, and put it in his morning matcha.
Oh, and did that work?
It worked amazingly well. And though for legal purposes, I should say it did not work at all.
Oh. Okay.
But his chakras are aligned, his chi is balanced, and his urine has never smelled more like kombucha.
Wait, is that a good thing?
It's a great thing. Look, we should be focusing on what matters. These treatments protected Aaron from getting COVID.
But doesn't he have COVID right now?
Oh yeah, big time. He may never smell or taste again, which is good because he hates my tabbouleh salad.
Are you doing anything to help him get better?
I've been doing this.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Whoa, okay, hey, I'd love to hang out and shoot the shaman with you, but I'm sort of in the middle of fleeing the country until this whole media blitz dies down.
Where are you going?
I can't say.
Okay, well, enjoy your trip.
Oh, a trip is something you come back from. This is no trip. I will be faking my own death. Don't tell the government!
I won't. Your secret is safe with me. Dr. Miles Birch Park, everyone.
Don't forget to put doctor in it.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Dr. Miles Birch Park. Thanks for watching. If you liked that video, click the subscribe button. And if you didn't like it, well, you hurt my feelings.